This here is only to show, like, Joe Blue does not care about truth or reality. Why? Well,
I go to desktop, I'm going to desktop. The game's not lagging out, nothing's happening to the game. I'm going to desktop. I'm seeing the desktop screen. Because the privacy settings are set to on, you can't see the desktop. I can see my desktop. Basically, all of the stuttering and jittering isn't rubber banding. It's not being caused by the internet of the game being affected in any way. That is just down to the fact that when I go to desktop, and because privacy settings aren't enabled, it essentially stops the recording and it stops and starts the recording. That's why bits of the audio are missing and bits of the gameplay footage go missing. There's nothing happening with the internet in the game. And then at this point here, I go to desktop again, right? And I have to try and get back into desktop, get back to the game again. When it comes back, the game's running at like 1 frame per second. And that's not because the game's lagging out in any way. It's because I upscale the game to 4K resolution. I'm on a 1440p monitor and I upscale the game up to 4K because it removes all of the jagged edges in Hunt Showdown, which Hunt is really bad for. Like there's really no good anti-aliasing options, and the best way to get rid of the jagged edges is to upscale it to 4K and I downscale it back down to 1440p. And because I'm in full screen windowed and I go to desktop, when it comes back, it messes up the resolution trying to go back to full screen. And when it happens during game, it basically causes all kinds of problems, such as getting a 1 frames per second slideshow. That's just being caused by the jank of switching from 1440p to upscaled 4K.
let me just quickly pause here. He said he's playing full screen windowed, but when he opens Hunt, it goes back to full screen. No, it doesn't. He doesn't even know what the different settings are doing. He's just mumbling and gibbering about whatever it might be. Full screen windowed is full screen windowed regardless. I'm sorry if it sounds like my nose is clogged because it is. I'm sick. I just noticed this comment and wanted to have it side by side to him talking because he doesn't know what he's talking about. He just pulls out lots of bullshit. If you notice this here, like he says he's running at 4K with 4090 graphics card. But he says in his video that he's running 1440 upscaling and then downscaling it. Like, what? Why would you ever downscale if you're running a 4090 graphics card? It's the best graphics card in the entire world. It might be your monitor is 1440, but even if you upscale it, the monitor is still going to show the quality without it being actual 4K 2160. The monitor will only output 1440, but the processing power required to upscale downscale is not going to be needed. So just simply upscale it. And the fact he's doing all this to cover up what's happening, even all this out here to cover up what's going on. And you have a person here being kind and saying that there are different aspects that can happen, even that he is having it happen. And Joe Blue then does this, being insanely disrespectful. There's no other comments below them. That's why I just took like this. Like, Joe Blue does not care about reality.
4K downsample back down to 1440p. That's what's causing that in this instance. Right, and I freeze again. And again, all the stuttering and the juttering is down to the fact that Shadowplay isn't recording the window.
If you have 32 gigs of RAM and a 4090 graphics card, you are not using Shadowplay to record anything, Joe. You're using Shadowplay to record if you have a lower system with a system that can handle it, like a system that uses 4090. you'll use OBS to record anything at all. Like if you have a 4090, I bow down and I get jealous. Doesn't matter. Stop doing that. Because I have a 3080 graphics card, and I have the Ryzen 7 5800X CPU. I also do have 2x16 gigabytes. So I have the same amount of gigabyte. I have a CPU that can handle Hunt in 1440. Sure, I do get jagged edges, but there's absolutely no benefit to removing it. There's actually benefits to having it, because then you can see through the walls and such. But I'm using OBS to record Hunt gameplays. Well, my partner is. And I got 144 pixel all the time. FPS 144 FPS. Sorry, not pixels. FPS all the time. There's absolutely nothing that hinders my computer from doing it. If you got a 4090 graphics card, you would not only be having a monitor that can also handle 4K, because otherwise you're limiting yourself. Like there's absolutely no reason to not go that high also. And you got 32 gig RAM system. You also have a CPU that can handle these two in correlation. You have no reason whatsoever to be using NVIDIA Shadowplay to capture moments.
When it's minimized properly. Like when this happened to me, all this stuttering and juttering wasn't happening on my side. I just saw the desktop. I had to come back into the game, and then I get a momentary like jutter on the screen, a black screen like pause, while the game is upscaling to 4K and downsampling back down to 1440p, which is the reason why it takes so long for me to get back into the game, because the resolution's basically janking around, and all the juttering is caused by Shadowplay not being.
There you have it. His system cannot handle what's going on because it's staggering around, which is another proof that Joe will say anything to sound trustworthy. This was not going to be more than that. Just that he is intentionally lying to everyone about everything, and he will create any sort of fake evidence that you can trust him. Absolutely. Bollocks. But I will continue to report on how Joe Blue is handling his permanent misrepresentation of the different people. So, back again later.